Welcome everybody to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about the AP argument essay. In the AP test, we're going to have three different essays: the synthesis essay, the argument essay, and the analysis essay. Today we're going to be diving deep into the argument essay and discussing about it. Just like the AP analysis essay, the argument essay has a 40-minute time limit as well. However, the difference is instead of giving you an entire passage to analyze, there's only one prompt. As you can see here, a student is supposed to create an essay about a standpoint from what we have over here on the screen. And some of you guys may ask, what happens about the evidence? Last time we talked about finding evidence in the passage. This time, where do we find the evidence? And the answer to that question is we find evidence from our general knowledge. As an AP course, you are expected to contain a lot of knowledge that can be helpful when it comes to these circumstances. And the argument essay tests you about how much you know about a certain subject. So before we dive into how we would write an essay, I want to go over the rubric first. Right here, just like, oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about the argument essay. It is also known as an FRQ question, or as we would know it as a free response question. You have the freedom to write whatever you want, to be honest, as long as it reflects your viewpoint and gives you a firm stand on and a firm take on the situation. Like the analysis essay, the argument essay has 6 points as well: one for thesis, four for evidence and commentary, one for sophistication. To get a 1 point thesis, you must respond to the prompt with a thesis that presents a defensible position. Means you must have a firm standpoint and take of the issue. As I would say, you can either agree, disagree, or qualify. Agree and you completely agree what the prompt states. Disagrees, you would change what the argument is saying completely. And qualify is there are certain parts that you agree and certain parts that you would adjust to make a statement that you would argue is your standpoint. And because there is and when it comes to writing, it gets a little bit trickier because there's nothing to write off of. You can't. There's for for example, if we're talking about the analysis essay, you can just write an essay based off of what the prompt was given to you. But for the argument essay, there's only such a short prompt, and it's crucial for you to possess some knowledge that can help you write this essay. As we go into the commentary section, it's all four. To get all four, you have to have enough reasoning, have to have, specific evidence. And right here, I would give a tip that, I've seen some essays, 6 point essays in the past, and all of those essays have 1 point in common. When data is usable, they definitely do put it in because it helps solidify their argument a lot. And that is one tip I would give you guys if you guys are taking the AP test. Now, as we dive into the essay, we have our basic introduction. And it talks about, how the prompt is about school sponsorships. Right here in the blue, I highlighted the thesis from this prompt, and it says, under current circumstances, school sponsorships are helpful because they help out schools financially, and they give schools a special tact that separates them from the rest. Right here, the thesis gives a firm standpoint of how sponsorships are helpful, and the thesis also gives 2 reasoning points. Overall, I would give this thesis 1 point. And as we look into the body paragraphs, the green highlighted as counter arguments and the orange highlighted as evidence. Before I start analyzing, feel free to read through these paragraphs. And now, overall, I would give this essay 3 points for evidence and commentary out of 4. Mainly because, as we can see right here, the evidence is in the second half of the first body paragraph, and there isn't enough reasoning to help further analyze your evidence and help further support your argument. However, if we look at the second body paragraph, right here, we have a counter argument. This is something that I would say all argument essays must include to be able to have a high score. counter arguments, because not only do you help progress your own argument, you also can consider the opponent's argument and kind of discredit whatever they want to say, which indirectly strengthens your argument. And right here, as you can see, I would call this a 1-2 punch right here, although some may argue whatever. The sample essay acknowledges that there are other opposing viewpoints. Right here, the sample essay immediately refutes the opponent's potential argument and uses their own, which makes it stronger. And underneath right here, we can see that we have, another piece of evidence in this body paragraph. Again, I would argue that there isn't enough reasoning to make it 4 points. Now as we move down into the sophistication part of the essay, this point also contains 1 point. And to be able to earn the point, you have to demonstrate sophistication of thought and or complex understanding of the rhetorical situation. Right here, I would give this piece a 0.5 to 1 point of sophistication. Although I don't think it is the strongest reflection of sophistication, it does certainly carry some complex understanding of the situation and how, overall in a broader term, economically wise, how the sponsors help schools out and how the author of this sample essay constructed this. So therefore, I would give about 0.5 to 1 point, depending on the situation. And as we move on to the last paragraph or the conclusion paragraph, it doesn't need to be that long, but it needs to be strong and concise. Just like how you would write your normal essays, the conclusion has to restate the thesis statement without reusing any of the words. Basically, you have to stir it up and change it up with your own words and rewrite your thesis statement down. I would argue that it is quite helpful to add another sentence or two to leave the reader finish reading this essay with deeper thought. By doing so, your argument becomes instantly stronger. So those were the fundamentals of the AP argument essay that you guys will potentially face in your AP exam. If there was something for me to say, I would say that use your time wisely. Don't waste your time on useless thoughts, and keep your mind running and don't stop. And by getting on a groove, you'll be able to write a brilliant essay. I hope this video has contained some useful information to you. Thank you very much for your time. This has been Michael Yang. Sign off.